Okay, I'm trying to get the head off this F22 Honda Accord. What I've done so far is time belt actually snapped. You can see it right there. Broken, gone, broken. So when I think of a head, I think of a Lego piece, a Lego brick. Now look what's on this side, on that side, on this side, what's here on the back as well. So here's an intake, there's the exhaust. So I've taken all the bolts that I can off on the top. See the laser right there? There's one a little bit farther down, you'll see them. I think there's 10 in total. The only 2 I can't get off are over there. I'm going to take you underneath the car and I'll show you, but you have to get those from the bottom. And to get access to those, you have to take off the oil filter. Work on the exhaust, took all these bolts off, and I'm going to go down here from the back side. Right there, there's a bolt here, there's a bolt on the other side, and there's one on the left side. So from the bottom, I'm going to go ahead and pull those 3 bolts out and then get the exhaust manifold out. And then get the remaining, I think there's 3 bolts on the back side of the intake. They're 10 millimeter, and that way I'll be able to get the head off without having to take too much stuff off. And then looking over here, you have a sensor right there, another sensor there, and then you have a coolant hose right there. So it's just basically, like I said earlier, think of a Lego brick and the stuff that you have to take off on the left side, the right side, the front, the back. And once you get all that stuff clear, that's when you can actually start taking the head off. So I'll take you down underneath the car here. See what I'm talking about. So from underneath, you'll see it. I'm sorry for the poor light. You have to get to the bolts on the bottom of the side of the exhaust manifold. There's one right there. You can see right there. There's one of those studs. So the other 2, 3 are over here. And that's how you can get the head off without having to take the whole intake off. I have to remove the oil filter, which is right there, to get it off. So let's do that. Okay, got the exhaust manifold out. Had to get this bolt out right here. That releases the exhaust manifold. Let's see what else. Okay, so I was able to get all the intake bolts out. You can see there's one there, there's one there, there's one there, and on the back side, or on the underside too. So I was able to get to all the, you see on that side on the bottom, I was able to get all the ones from the top. I had to get one from the bottom over here, and then one right here, right there. You can see right there when you guys get in there. I had to come through here, right through here, where my hand is, with a 1/4 inch extension and a 12 millimeter socket, and get it broken loose that way. Okay, next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to pull all the head bolts, which are 14 millimeter. Okay, so 2 things I forgot to mention. You have your thermostat housing right here. Here's your thermostat. Right here onto the intake, you have 2 bolts, one on top, one on bottom, and they're on the back side as well where the wrench is. You take all those 3 bolts out, it'll make the intake a little bit more loose. And then on the bottom, there's an L bracket, and the bracket actually attaches to the bottom of the intake. And you need to remove that bolt to give you a little bit of wiggle room to make the intake move before you pull the head off, because you need that extra wiggle room to actually get the head to clear from the metal dowel pins. So take those 3 bolts out right here, 1, 2, 3, and then on the bottom side there is a bolt. I believe it's a 12 millimeter. It's either 12 or 14 millimeter bolt that goes in. Bottom side. So take that out and it'll give you that wiggle room that you need to be able to lift the head up and get it off and out. There I have the socket in place. I picked this so I picked up this 1/2 inch 12-point 14 millimeter bolt from Lowe's. I have a short one and a long one as well, but it's 14 millimeter. So you're just going to go around, get all the head bolts loose, and I'm going to pull this whole assembly. I was able to get all the head bolts out, not a big problem. There is one bolt that is longer than all the others, and it sits right there in the middle. I'm actually, my hand's on it right now. They're actually 2 unique bolts. They have a different color head on them, head bolt on them. It's a little bit darker, looks a little bit more black than all the rest, and those two sit in the center. The longer one goes towards the intake, the shorter one goes towards the exhaust, but you will see it when you get in there. So just make sure you make note of it and which one goes where. If you are keeping the car, go ahead and get new head bolts. I'm actually going to reuse these. And just torque them down to the specific sequence. And I will go over all that in a later video. I'll show you guys how to torque this thing down. Right here, I'm just getting a rubber mallet and I'm hitting the side of the block. I just want to break it free, get it loose. Don't use like a screwdriver or a big breaker bar or anything like that between the head and the block. They are aluminum and you don't want to mar the surface or damage the surface anyway, so just give it a couple love taps with a rubber mallet or piece of wood if you have it, and kind of a strong part of the head. I'm just I'm just grabbing the head, trying to pull it up, trying to get it free. There are metal dowel pins on there, 2 metal dowel pins that guide the head on, so you have to lift up the head a little bit to get it off and free and clear. But everything's off, and I'm just lifting the head up and out. I put a rag there on the radiator support because you are going to leak oil, and anytime I've ever done a head, it always leaks oil on the core support. So right here, I'm just flipping the head over and putting it into my oil catch pan. Just want to get out all the oil I can before I send it to the machine shop. Be considerate of the machine shop. Now right here, I'm showing you guys that the valves are bent. You can see there's pretty big gaps in some of the exhaust and intake valves. I'll put a link in the description below where I put a video up where you can check the valves without pulling the heads off to see if they're bent. This is a Honda OE head gasket, so it looks like, well, if somebody had done it before, they used pretty good parts, but this is an OE head gasket. And then right there, I'm pointing out to you the metal dowels that are used to line up the head to the block. This is going to go to the machine shop. I use A1 Cylinder Head in Riverside, California. Great guys. And right up here, I'm going to show you there is a wear tab on the head. Basically, that it tells you if the head is capable of being resurfaced. If it's past the point of no return, you'll see a little dot in the middle. If that dot is, well, if the surface of the head is reaching that dot at all, right there, that dot, then you can't resurface the head. So there you go, guys.